Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty, presidents. All right, Rick, did you have a chance to think about that? What will it take to disrupt the MAGA voters out there who overwhelmingly supported Donald Trump in November of last year to finally say, you know what, this isn't working for me? What do we do next?
Well, pain. I think the thing that the administration has to recognize is, the president likes to talk as if he won by a landslide. He won by a point and a half. That type of margin can evaporate very, very quickly. And, Joe Biden won by more than that, but became very unpopular because, he ushered in something that we haven't had for a long time, inflation. And if, in fact, these tariffs cause people's 401ks to decline precipitously, that seems to be happening this morning. Now, that may be to some extent temporary, but again, I think if you destroy value, you're going to lose, and that's what tariffs do. You're going to destroy market valuations, and tariffs have the potential to be inflationary. People hate inflation. And so, it's wonderful to point to your past victories and say, look how well we did. We won the popular vote. But when there's real economic pain, when people are having more difficulty, making ends meet, when their retirement planning is jeopardized, I think you could see public sentiment shifting very rapidly and very bigly.
Do you there you go. Do you think, sort of a subjective question, but do you think Donald Trump cares?
Well, I don't know. I think that this is, I told the story about the reporter that I know. I think that this is a core belief of his. Sort of the way, he seems to be hardwired to see the world in zero-sum games. And, the insight of, capitalism and free markets is that economics doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. And in fact, there can be all sorts of win-win transactions. In fact, those are the transactions that ought to happen. That's why international trade happens. And he doesn't seem to be inclined to think of things and see things in that way. And, the older you get, the harder it is to change your mind. And I think he also he has a particular personality that makes it very difficult for him to admit that he's done something wrong. So I think the best case scenario here is that he finds some off ramp. He finds some way to declare victory and backs away from this. And I think that there is some possibility that will happen. Rick
Esenberg joining us from the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty on our Thursday program. I got to ask you about your takeaways from Tuesday's election. As somebody, this is my opinion, who's supportive of conservative justices and like what they do for sort of the rule of law in our state and in our country. It's a little disappointing that we've seen Republicans, except for the Donald Trump exception, lose race after race in Wisconsin. What's sort of your takeaway from what you saw Tuesday with the election of Judge Susan Crawford over Judge Brad Schimmel Tuesday night?
Well, this is, I think, becoming conventional wisdom. The Republicans traded reliable suburban voters for less reliable outstate voters. Trump scares the soccer moms, and places like I live in Mequon. Mequon has politically shifted dramatically in the last 10 years. Now, some of that is demographic change, but I think most of it is a response to the populist turn in the Republican Party, and maybe people don't like it. And so, in a presidential election, it maybe doesn't matter that much because Trump has been successful in turning out people who have been formally disengaged and didn't vote. But it's apparently that we haven't figured out a way to turn those people out in in midterm and off-year elections like a Supreme Court race. And so if you look at the state of Wisconsin and you look at statewide races in non-presidential years, the Democrats have, been winning, in excess of 90% of the time. And it happened again. The race was nationalized. I supported Brad Schimmel. I thought he would have been a fine Supreme Court justice. But in some sense, the race wasn't about Susan Crawford or Brad Schimmel. It was about one tribe pitted against the other. And, Crawford managed to get 78% of the vote total that Harris got last November. Schimmel got 62% of Trump's vote total, and that was the difference. And I don't know that there's much that he or anybody else could have done to change that, given the dynamic that I think that these new Trump voters, because they're essentially not ideological conservatives, they really don't see much value in coming out to vote for a court race or coming out to vote in the midterms. They're far less likely to do so. And so Republicans now, we used to think that Republicans did better in low turnout races. Now they do better in high turnout races. And in these lower, turnout election cycles, even though this was pretty robust for a Supreme Court race, it's just very, very difficult for them to win.
Hey, Rick, I got about a minute left. I don't know if I've asked you about Elon Musk and his role in Republican Party politics. Give me your 1 minute take on Elon Musk and who may be sort of moving away from Donald Trump in the next month or so.
Well, Americans love to hate billionaires. That's one thing. And the second thing, he's obviously a tremendous entrepreneur. Very, very innovative, very, very creative. But a lot of times when somebody is that way, it comes with a certain weirdness. And I just think that they may have overdone it a little bit with a little too much Elon. And I don't know that I don't know if so much it turned off potential Schimmel voters, but I think it may have boosted turnout for the Democrats a little bit.
Rick Esenberg, president of the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. I always appreciate you sharing your wisdom. Let's do it again in studio, long form in the weeks and months ahead.
All right.